Colonel George A. Rollins, native Bostonian, and I grew up in Mission Hill. And then I was in high school, my family moved to the suburbs. We moved to Dorchester. That's what all the Mission Hill kids thought. I moved to the suburbs, so. And from Dorchester, I went to South Boston High School, and upon graduation, Speaker McCormick appointed me to West Point. In the Army, I was infantry, armor, special forces, and aviation qualified. I served in a variety of assignments. And after 9/11, I went back as a contractor in the Pentagon, working for DOD and Special Operations Command. And at 2011, at the tender age of 61, the U.S. Army recalled me and sent me to Afghanistan with the 10th Mountain Division. So that's my experience. We will never forget and do hold in highest esteem those who serve and those who have served in the name of freedom. On behalf of the Massachusetts Executive Office of Veteran Services and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, this ceremony is now called to order. Please rise and welcome the Governor of the Commonwealth, the Honorable Maura Healey, the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, Kim Driscoll, the Adjutant General of the Massachusetts National Guard, Major Gary Keefe, and Deputy Secretary and Executive Office of Veteran Services, Dr. Andrea Gale Bennett, led by the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company and Brigadier General Joseph Milano. Please remain standing during the presentation of the colors by the Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officer Training Program, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please take your seats. And our national anthem was sung by Ogona Hardison, and our Pledge of Allegiance was by Peggy Griffin, President of the Gold Star Wives. And another person. As long as we find it necessary to send our sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, fathers, and mothers to serve this nation in locations near and far, we must never forget. Veterans, you come with memories, stories, and tears. This is your day, Veterans Day 2024. Together we pay tribute to honor our veterans and their families across the Commonwealth. And now I'd like to introduce the Secretary of Executive Services of Veterans Affairs, Dr. Andrea Gale Bennett.
Good morning, everyone. It really gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here today on behalf of the Executive Office of Veterans Services and Secretary Santiago to this Veterans Day ceremony. Secretary Santiago couldn't be here with us today to share this celebration and recognition. He's actually representing both Massachusetts and the country at the 2024 International Conference on Veteran Affairs in Seoul, South Korea. The conference brings together leaders of veteran services worldwide to discuss the best practices in veteran care. And this is a proud moment, not only for our administration, but for every Massachusetts veteran and their loved ones. And I know he sends his warm regards and heartfelt appreciation to each of you for being here. So this November 11th marks 70 years of celebrating Veterans Day. Since its creation in 1954, we've sent millions to war. Service members fought in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and served in harm's way in numerous other conflicts and places. and many more answered the call, here and across the world, to ensure America stands ready to defend its national security and our freedoms and our interests. How many others will raise their hands in service to our nation over the next 70 years? How will they be called to defend it? How much will they and their families sacrifice in doing so? Those questions we can imagine, but can't possibly answer. But here in Massachusetts, nations first, we support those who do serve and recognize our veterans for what they do. At EOVS, we are fully committed to making sure that Massachusetts is second to none when it comes to supporting our military and veteran families, recognizing them not just today, but every day. On August 8th of this year, Governor Healey signed the HERO Act into law. The HERO Act is a milestone in the Commonwealth's commitment to veterans. It improves veteran services in over 30 ways. Some of the improvements include increasing disabled veteran annuity by 25%, extending the active duty service buyback program, and making sure Massachusetts veterans are reimbursed for their behavioral health expenses. And those are just 3 of the provisions. These increased benefits help us reach all veterans with the resources, services, and opportunities they have earned. And we're not done. So we're honored to have Governor Healey and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll here with us today, who will share a few words about their continued commitment to veterans across the Commonwealth. Also, we will enjoy an inspiring performance by the national award-winning Lynn ROTC. I'm in Lynn, so I'm extra proud. Then recognize 2 outstanding veterans with well-deserved awards. And of course, our keynote speaker, whose remarkable story and insights will undoubtedly remind us of the importance of service and sacrifice. So to those veterans who are here today, thank you. To the mothers, fathers, spouses, and children of our military men and women, thank you. And to those who show your gratitude through action, thank you. As we continue through this program and the rest of the day, take a moment to reflect not only on the incredible history of veterans' contributions, but on the challenges that still lie ahead. I challenge each of you to ask yourselves, how can we, as individuals and as a community, continue to support those who have served? And how can we ensure that the next generation of veterans receives the recognition, resources, and respect they deserved? The HERO Act is a great foundation. There is more to be done. So thank you all for joining us today, and let's continue this mission together. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary Gail Bennett. We remember our POWs and MIAs. We remember our POWs and MIAs, captive Americans cruelly stripped of their freedom, treated with contempt and brutality. They fought long, lonely battles against despair, physical and psychological torture, and the ultimate fear of being forgotten. They are POWs and MIAs. They are not with us today, but we remember them. The table you see to your right here is set for one. It's small and symbolizes the frailty of one prisoner alone against their oppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity and intention to respond to their country's call. Remember, A single rose in the vase reminds us of their families and loved ones. They have kept the faith awaiting their return. Remember, a red ribbon tied on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn on the lapel of thousands, symbolizing our determination to account for all of our missing. Remember, a slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. There is salt on the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember, the glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this day. The chair is empty, they are not here. For all who serve with them and call them comrades, know we have not forgotten them. Please remember them. We will light the candle now. Thank you. All veterans or service people have seen the worst of human nature and represent the best of humankind. From our nation's beginning to the battlefields of Europe, the Pacific, Korea, Vietnam, the Cold War, the desert of Iraq, and the mountains of Afghanistan, and the war on terror, and countless other corners of the globe, Americans have served bravely and with distinction. I ask you now to please rise. We will follow a moment of silence followed by taps. Take your seats, please. And now it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce the Governor of Massachusetts, the Honorable Maura Healey.
Good morning, and thank you, Colonel Rollins, for leading us today. It's an honor to be here today, to be alongside Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, and to celebrate our incredible veterans. I bring greetings on behalf of our entire administration to all of you and to your families. We're joined today by so many state leaders. Treasurer Deborah Goldberg is here with us. Inspector General Jeff Shapiro, good morning. Members of the state legislature, and leaders from across Massachusetts joining together, as we should, to say Happy Veterans Day. I want to thank Deputy Secretary of Veteran Services, Andrea Gale Bennett. As she said, she's doing a fantastic job with the entire team over at Veteran Services. We're so proud of the work that the Cabinet is doing, and in particular, the work that Secretary Santiago and Deputy Secretary Bennett are leading. And as the Deputy noted, Secretary Santiago was at veterans events all last week, but then had to fly to Seoul, South Korea to represent the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the United States of America at the International Veterans Conference. And we were so proud that Secretary John Santiago was selected to go to be the United States representative. Do we have any Marines in the house? Hoorah, yes, 249 years old yesterday. We've got so many outstanding veteran leaders and military family members with us today. I want to, first of all, acknowledge somebody who's doing a terrific job for the Commonwealth, and that is our own Adjutant General Gary Keefe of the Massachusetts National Guard, first in the nation. We also have with us Major Michael Fish, Brigadier General Joe Milano, and the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company, keepers of our military heritage here in Massachusetts. We have our Gold Star families, led as always by our good friends Peggy Griffin and Robin Abbott. Thank you for leading us this morning in the pledge and also the lighting of the candle. And our hearts are always, always with you and your families. I want to thank members of the Junior ROTC. Aren't they incredible, those young men and women from Lynn? I wish, and my wish today is for more young people to enlist in the military. I don't think there's a finer training, a finer discipline, a finer way to learn about teamwork, about sacrifice, exposure to new worlds, new views, than what the military affords us. And so I just commend these young men and women. Come on out, yeah, commend these young men and women for doing what they do. And you will go on to successful careers as a result. I want to thank our veteran advocate, Bob Notch, who's with us here today. Thank you, Bob, for all that you do. Thank you to our veteran organizations and posts who are represented here today, to all of our VSOs. Thank you so much to our great VSOs from all across the state who are working hard to connect veterans with the services that they need. Thank you. And we have award winners. Marvin Howard of Agawam, a proud Air Force veteran and member of American Legion Post 185. Where is Marvin? Yes. Also a marathon runner who still runs 4 to 6 miles every single day. We have our Marine Corps veteran, Ken Levesque, and members of the Veterans Association of Bristol County. Thank you for all that you do, sir, in Bristol County for so many. I also want to acknowledge and thank our Navy veteran. I was born at Bethesda Naval myself, and the Lieutenant Governor, her dad is Navy. We've got Andrew McCauley here today of the great New England Center and Home for Veterans, a national leader on caring for vulnerable veterans, and today's keynote speaker. You know, this morning I actually started out my day in Sheffield, Massachusetts, way out west in Berkshire County. And it was early in the morning, and the sun was coming up over the beautiful fields, past a lot of cows on my way, and just awakening to this beautiful, beautiful day. And driving down a hillside, about to turn on to the route there, and came upon a lovely common in Sheffield. And on that common were dozens of American flags. And starting to gather, I could see a few fellows parking their cars, no doubt to set up for what will be a veterans celebration in Sheffield. And I just mention that because look around in this great hall with all flags from 351 of our cities and towns in Massachusetts represented. I know that today, across Massachusetts, there will be men and women in cities and towns stepping forward to celebrate and recognize our veterans. That is so, so important, particularly at a time in our nation's history, and particularly for who we are in Massachusetts. We're home to so many firsts: the National Guard, the United States Navy. We have a proud heritage of patriotism and of fighting for American democracy. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of who we are. We had an election the other day. Every single community, I've said this before, in every single community, there were people who voted one way and there were people who voted the other way. But American democracy assures us the peaceful transfer of power and the continuing work, and that's what we're about. It's all laid out in the US Constitution, which, by the way, Massachusetts' Point of Pride was modeled after the Massachusetts Constitution that John Adams wrote just 15 miles south of here in Quincy, right? So, you know, I believe, despite what anybody from Pennsylvania might say, Massachusetts not only has the better basketball team, but we are home to the birthplace of America. So, the truth is, we all owe it. All citizens of the Commonwealth owe it to our nation, to our rights as free people, because all of the rights and freedoms we enjoy today, young and old, come from the service and the sacrifice of our veterans. And that is why every day should be celebrated as Veterans Day, to celebrate those who fought for our nation, defended our democracy generation after generation, and folks who show us how to move forward together, how to have focus on the things that matter, the things that unite us, not divide us. Service to each other, teamwork and collaboration, helping our neighbors, looking one another in the eye and taking time to have that communion and those conversations, making life better in our communities. That's what we're focused on. And to do that work, once again, we look to our veterans, who are our role models and our heroes. Finally, last week, Secretary Santiago and I were able to spend time together. We were able to spend time together in Holyoke. We all understand the terrible tragedy that unfolded there just years ago. But to see that building rise from the ashes, essentially, in Holyoke, a world-class facility that will serve veterans for years to come, was something truly, truly beautiful. And that was able to happen ahead of schedule, and soon we will see people moving into the new facility there. That also follows, I want you to know, the wonderful work that's been done at the Chelsea Veterans Home, also new and improved and world-class. I want you to know that because we are forever committed to investing in and supporting veterans in the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I once again wish you and all your loved ones a happy Veterans Day. And I know I'm going to make it a point today to talk to my kids about what this day is about, and I encourage all citizens of the Commonwealth to do the same. To find a way individually and as families, especially families who are not military families, to recognize and to celebrate the veterans among us. God bless Massachusetts, God bless the United States of America, and God bless all of those serving right now.
Thank you, Governor Healey. Now it is my honor to introduce the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, Kim Driscoll.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Governor, for your remarks. Thank you to all our colleagues in government for your partnership. Thank you most of all to our veterans for your service to country and community. You show us that any challenge can be overcome if we come together, as you did and still do, in service and in love of country. This is why Veterans Day is such an important day. It's not only recognizing those who give us our freedom, it also grounds us in the values we need to keep our nation and our state strong and free. I want to give special recognition to our Gold Star families. and all the family members of veterans who are here today. As many of you know, I grew up in a military family and a veteran family, and on Veterans Days, as on so many other days, I think about my dad. He passed away in February of last year after 90 years of a life well lived. He was a life of service to country, community, and family. We were and always will be a Navy family with all the things that brought with it: pride, discipline, love of country, and a belief in helping others. He inspired me to go into public service. I also think of the many ways he served country and community after he retired from the Navy. See, veterans find a way to continue their service. They devote their lives to helping their community. It's just who they are. That's why their example is so powerful. It comes straight from the heart. This is our lesson, not only on Veterans Day, but every day, to live up to their example by striving to be better. Better citizens, building a better world for the next generation. There's no place I'd rather be on this beautiful, sunny fall day than in this room with all of you. You know, we live in interesting times, and I just want to extend a happy Veterans Day to those who are celebrating in the 351 communities across the Commonwealth. There just aren't enough words to show our gratitude for all the troops who've served our country. We honor, respect, and support you. Happy Veterans Day.
Together, we will pay tribute to honor veterans and their families across the Commonwealth. Now, I'd like to introduce the Deputy Secretary of Executive Office of Veteran Services, Dr. Andre Gail Bennett.
What page are you on? The 2024 Veterans Day Awards. The Tom Hudner Valor Award is presented to an individual within the veteran community who exemplifies extraordinary courage and selflessness. It's named in honor of Captain Thomas Hudner Jr., a true hero of the Chosin Reservoir Battle. This award pays tribute to individuals who embody Captain Hudner's unwavering commitment to the service and well-being of their fellow service members. It celebrates Captain Hudner's legacy and recognizes individuals who, like him, demonstrate unparalleled bravery, selflessness, and dedication to their comrades and the veteran community. I'm honored to present this award, the Tom Hudner Valor Award, to Marvin Howard. Marvin Howard has been a volunteer at the Agawam Cemetery since 2003. He served 6 years in the United States Air Force and has dedicated his life to veterans' causes. Marvin has assisted in rendering military honors for thousands of veterans interred at the cemetery and has been present for over 10,000 services. Outside of the cemetery, Marvin is a longtime member of American Legion Post 185 and their Honor Guard. Marvin was awarded the Game Changer Award at the Springfield Thunderbirds in the 2022-2023 season and was the parade marshal for the 2022 Agawam Memorial Parade. Thank you, Marvin, for your service, and would you please join me here for the award? And Governor.
Nice to see you again. Congratulations.
Here's your award, and we're going to take a picture, so let's face the audience, yeah.
Your team, right?
He's going to skip running today, he says.
The next award is the Tom Kelley Community Engagement Award. The Captain Tom Kelley Community Engagement Award is presented to an organization dedicated to local service and community empowerment. Inspired by Captain Tom Kelley's extraordinary valor during the Vietnam War, this award highlights an organization's profound commitment to advancing veterans within their communities. Captain Kelley's legacy of transformative impact within the Department of Defense and as Secretary of the Massachusetts Department of Veterans Services amplifies the spirit this award seeks to honor. It recognizes organizations that, like Captain Kelley, have made a lasting difference in the lives of veterans, ensuring their dedication continues to inspire future generations. The Captain Thomas Kelley Community Engagement Award goes to the Veterans Association of Bristol County. Executive Director Ken Levesque, on behalf of your organization, can you please join us to accept this award? I need to let you know that a description of what he has done. So operating out of Fall River, he serves the veteran, serves all of Bristol County, providing over 400 veteran families with food and over 100 with clothing each month. They also host daily coffee socials, work with the co-located DAV to enroll veterans in benefits, and provide regular wellness events such as a walking club and a kayaking event. They received a Veterans Community Initiative grant and purchased a new van to help with food transport, new donation bins, supplies for a music therapy program, and outreach materials for reaching at-risk veterans. They also recently created a new patio for outdoor programming. They've professionalized and dramatically grown their operation despite having only 4 full-time staff. They are a good team player, partnering with other veteran service organizations in the area to maximize impact and ensure that no veteran goes without food or shelter. Thank you for all that you do for our veterans in the community. Let's give another round of applause.
At this time, I would like to welcome 4 amazing cadets from the Marine Corps Reserve Officer Training Program from Lynn, where they will perform their armed and unarmed drill. The Lynn English Marine Corps Junior ROTC has been one of the most successful programs in the nation. The program is recognized as a Naval Honor School, one of the top programs in the nation for 24 consecutive years. The drill team has been one of the best in the nation and one of the top Marine Corps Junior ROTC drill teams in the Northeast region. Both armed and unarmed have placed first at national drill competitions and have won the region's national drill qualifiers. Please welcome Gafour Diallo, Peter Akane, Anna Neitz, and Marty Perez as they performed their 2 cadet drill and unarmed exhibition drill performance. Back on schedule now.
After this.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Now is the time to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Captain C. Andrew McCauley, United States Navy, retired, is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the New England Center and Home for Veterans. Andy joined the Center in June of 2011 and has led the Center's transformation and growth to be one of the nation's most innovative and impactful private human service providers for our community's most vulnerable veterans. He served for more than 30 years in the U.S. Navy as a naval officer and aviator. He commanded a Navy fighter squadron and 2 major warships, including the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. Andy was born in Boston and grew up on the South Shore. He attended the Naval Academy, graduating in 1980 with the BS in Naval Agriculture. He later went on to earn an MS in Aeronautical Engineering from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, and graduated from the U.S. Navy's Test Pilot School. In 2001, he completed the Advanced Management Program at Harvard Business School. Following active duty and before joining the Center, Andy worked in aerospace and defense industry as Vice President, Afghanistan Program for Lynn North America. I now present Andy.
Gold Star families, veterans, service members, family members, Your Excellency, Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, constitutional officers and legislators and elected officials, the Adjutant General, General O'Keefe, Generals Milano, Woodhouse, Secretary Gail Bennett, members of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company, distinguished guests, officials, and fellow citizens of this great Commonwealth. Thank you for honoring veterans and their service on this day, the 11th day of the 11th month, Veterans Day, the day that we as a nation set aside specifically for that purpose. And even more so, thank you for honoring and supporting veterans every day here in Massachusetts. I am both proud and humbled to be here this morning in this beautifully moving and historic Hall of Flags of the Massachusetts State House, and honored beyond words to have been asked to offer some remarks. It is daunting to search for anything that I might offer that could add a perspective that approaches worthiness for this important and solemn observance, or for the historic richness of these walls and displays around us, or equal to the assembled group of participants and attendees here and their individual and collective record of selfless public service, leadership, and sacrifice, both in and out of uniform. Today, Veterans Day, a day to remember and honor all veterans, military service to this country since its founding, and all veterans. Over almost 250 years, the more than 26 million Americans who've worn the cloth of this nation and taken the oath and made the selfless commitment to even give their all in its and our defense. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, when the guns fell silent on the Western Front in the war to end all wars. Armistice Day in 1918 that is now enshrined as the day we observe Veterans Day. Sadly, but perhaps not surprisingly, 1918 did not hearken the end of all wars, or the cessation of human conflict, or eliminate the need for military service by Americans to protect our nation, its people, our vital interests, and our ideals in an imperfect and many times dangerous world. Military service and sacrifice has remained necessary over the intervening 106 years since then and continues today. We remain grateful that young men and women of this nation and this Commonwealth continue to be willing to serve, to sacrifice, and to defend. Whereas Memorial Day honors those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, Veterans Day honors all veterans. So what could I say here today to hope to even partially capture all veterans? Well, in my role at the New England Center and Home for Veterans, I work every day with veterans and on behalf of veterans here in Massachusetts. It is the mission of the center to provide vital and life-changing support services to our community's most vulnerable veterans. I think a lot about veterans. I speak with a lot of veterans, and I work with many government officials, community leaders, and private donors about veterans and veterans issues. Veterans are as richly diverse as the society from whence they arise and on whose behalf they serve. So are there ways that we might seek to characterize all veterans today? The Commonwealth of Massachusetts possesses a rich tradition of distinguished military service, going back to even before our independence as a nation. The state's role of veterans through the years shows many heroes and records of exemplary valor and service. Heroes that we remember, recognize, and honor. Heroes like Seaman Herbert Foss, United States Navy of Hingham. Seaman Foss's brave actions aboard the USS Marblehead in March of 1898 during the Spanish-American War was recognized by the Medal of Honor. Or Second Lieutenant Ralph Talbot, United States Marine Corps of Weymouth. Lieutenant Talbot was U.S. Naval Aviator number 456 and was the first Marine Corps aviator awarded the Medal of Honor in October of 1918 during World War I. In World War II, Private First Class Frederick Murphy, United States Army of Boston, was also awarded our nation's honor for his valor and selfless actions as a combat medic in March of 1945 while serving with the 65th Infantry Division in combat at Germany's Siegfried Line. Actions that cost him his life, but saved so many others. And of course, I was privileged to know Captain Thomas Hudner, United States Navy, a bona fide hero of Massachusetts' end of naval aviation, who earned the Medal of Honor for his selfless actions during the Korean conflict. And the list continues with Massachusetts' own Captain Thomas Kelley, who was awarded the Medal of Honor for his service and valor during the Vietnam War. These past heroes and their deeds, and so many others, form a legacy of valor and distinction that continues through today, and continues with those now deployed around the globe, and will no doubt continue to grow into the future. But many veterans, and perhaps most veterans, and I am certainly one of those, did not necessarily serve with the distinction and valor of those Massachusetts military heroes that I just listed. So what of their service? I suspect that most veterans, like myself, most likely think of their terms of service or contribution to our defense as rather unremarkable. For me, service commenced on a warm July afternoon in 1976 in Annapolis, Maryland, and ended in November of 2007, back here in Massachusetts, in my front yard, literally just a few hundred yards from where I had departed from 3 decades earlier. It seemed but a fleeting blink of an eye, an all too brief opportunity to be part of something larger than myself, to work and serve alongside and be inspired by other dedicated young Americans from every corner of the country and every background. We seemed to be working to serve a mission and a purpose that held remarkable clarity, even if sometimes in vague circumstances. So how do I capture such a broad, diverse, and rich subject as veterans? Maybe I can't, but I thought I might just take a couple of minutes to talk about just one veteran. A veteran I have had the privilege to know, perhaps one of those unremarkable veterans, but a veteran from and of Massachusetts, and I thought to talk a little bit about his story. Steve Whitty. Steve was born in Boston. He was a baby boomer, born in 1948, and he grew up with his parents and siblings in Dedham and attended Dedham Public Schools. After graduating from high school, and in August of 1967, at the height of the Vietnam conflict, Steve stepped forward, raised his right hand, and enlisted in the United States Navy. Steve served in the Navy for 4 years throughout the remainder of the Vietnam War, both at sea and ashore. Steve was an aircraft carrier sailor, deploying on board the USS John F. Kennedy CV-67, a ship named for our 35th president and another heroic Massachusetts veteran. I met Steve in 2011 when I came to the New England Center. Steve was a member of the Operations and Facility Maintenance team, and he had been working at the center and supporting his fellow veterans since 1997. He was a perennially cheery person and a dedicated team member. He always stepped up and was the go-to person on any facility or system emergency, and he made an enormous contribution to the center, its staff, and its fellow veterans for a remarkable 27 years. When I would come in the morning, I would frequently see Steve down on his hands and knees or up on a ladder, out in the heat or in the cold weather, many times with half his body in a system space or an equipment cabinet, cleaning, making repairs, or performing maintenance. He seemed to be willing and able to do it all. This past August, Steve's teammates noticed that he wasn't quite as energetic as he usually was, but he was certainly remained as dedicated. We encouraged him to go see a doctor, but he did not want to go and refused to go. Steve was eligible for VA health care and many other benefits, but he didn't seem to want to access services. Everyone, including me, tried to convince Steve, but he just wanted to continue to work until he could not. Finally, we called an ambulance and Steve went to the hospital. Sadly, Steve passed a short time after that. And with the assistance of the City of Boston's Veteran Services, the Department of the VA, and a local funeral home here in Boston, we arranged for a memorial service and burial in the Veterans Cemetery in Bourne for Steve. At the service, I had the chance to meet Steve's younger brother, John, and some friends Steve had known growing up. As we spoke, and I listened to them talk among themselves, I came to realize that none of them, even Steve's brother, who was a young kid during Steve's time in the Navy, really knew anything at all about Steve's service. So when the time came during that service, when people were asked if they would like to say some words, I took the opportunity to try and convey to Steve's family and friends what he did in the Navy. Although Steve's service started about 10 years before my own, and we did not serve together, but having flown from aircraft carriers for decades and having commanded an aircraft carrier, and knowing from his service records what his assignment had been, I could convey to his family with complete confidence what Steve's service was like and what his duties had been. I could tell them about his life aboard an aircraft carrier, the demands, the constant hazards and noise, and the 18-plus hour workdays with no privacy or outside contact for months at sea. Launching and recovering armed aircraft around the clock and in any weather, with no breaks or let up or time off for months at a time, the boredom, the loneliness, yes, the loneliness, even among 6,000 shipmates in a floating city at sea. How Steve was a part of a team of young, dedicated Americans, sailors and Marines projecting America's presence and protecting its interest in a turbulent world. And at that service, it was clear to me that Steve's friends and families were eager to hear about his service and his experiences, and glad to learn more about their loved one and an important part of his life. And what was also clear to me was that actually, Steve's military service was quite remarkable, as he was remarkable. And his service did make a measurable difference, just like his post-military work for veterans had made a difference. And so on reflection, and what I want to say here is, regardless of any veteran's length of service, their rank, their medals and awards, their era of service, overseas, stateside, conflict, peacetime, or the character of their service, in the aggregate, military service is vital. It makes a difference, and no one individual service member functions without the whole. And what Steve's story also brought home for me was that I wish he had connected with and accessed the benefits and entitlements he had earned and richly deserved more fully, including health care. And I would say to all here, with veterans you know, regardless of how old they are or how successful they might be, please encourage, even push and persist with them to reach out, connect, and use the support and services for veterans that they have earned. It is a pretty good bet that they might not be the best judge of whether they need or will benefit from them. And I would suggest you also, respectfully, consider asking them about their service as well. Maybe not the details, they might not be willing to share those, but perhaps how they felt about it, or what they liked about it. I have never met a veteran who did not fondly remember at least some element of their military service experience. And for veterans as well, please consider telling your family or friends, your loved ones, a little about your own service. They are interested, they will appreciate it, and they will remember it. I saw that Steve's family and loved ones truly did. So on veterans, we remember and honor all veterans and every veteran. And specifically for me this year, I remember Stephen Whitty, veteran, United States Navy. Thank you.
There are over 24 million veterans in the United States, with almost 300,000 here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Now is the time for a musical salute to the veterans in their branches of service. Veterans, you answered the call, and we ask you to stand when your service song is being played. And if you're in two services, stand twice then. Our band. I will talk to the band after this is over because they didn't do it by order of service. Yes. At this time, General, would you please stand up? General Woodrow. Enoch Woodhouse is our oldest veteran. He's 98 years old, and we want to give him a round of applause. Don't be blowing kisses to the governor. Ladies and gentlemen, this now concludes the 2024 Commonwealth of Massachusetts Veteran Celebration. Thank you for your attendance today.